Mackenzie says probe into Perennial Charles Arcade Fair underway, 95 stalls destroyed. Minister of Local Government and Community Development Desmond Mackenzie says investigations into the cause of a fire at the Perennial Charles Arcade in downtown Kingston on Monday are now underway. According to Mackenzie, the fire destroyed the 95 stalls, affecting the livelihoods of 54 vendors. The Jamaica Fire Brigade is conducting the forensic investigation into the cause of this huge fire, which has not only affected the vendors but also their dependents, as well as many people who provide services to the vendors and shoppers who use the arcade, Mackenzie noted. I know that this is especially difficult as we are less than 6 weeks away from Christmas. I have already spoken to the mayor of Kingston and St. Andrew, and once the investigation is completed, the vendors will be consulted about the way forward as they seek to recover from this stressful incident, he stated. Union concerned over growing push to remove redundancy payment law. Vincent Morrison, the president of the Union of Clerical, Administrative and Supervisory Employees UKs, has raised concern over what he says is an increase in the push from the private sector to have the notice on redundancy pay law removed. There is a push from the private sector, and I wouldn't be surprised if the government of the day supports the private sector 100% in this push to remove the notice on redundancy pay law from the books. There have been talks about labor reform, and I think this is one of the main issues that will be coming up during the course of the next year, Morrison told reporters. The Employment, Termination and Redundancy Payments Act governs the legal requirements for redundancy pay, also known as severance pay. The Act states that an employer must make redundancy payments to an employee when their job is no longer required or when the employer can no longer justify the employee's employment. Morrison pointed to a proposal made years ago for a system where both private and public sector employers will contribute to a fund that would provide compensation for workers laid off due to restructuring, retrenchment, or redundancy. He noted a similar system in place in other countries in the region. However, Morrison strongly cautioned against any changes to the current redundancy payment law, stating, I would want to warn very strongly that nothing should be done to change the existing act. For the UK's president, the only change that he hopes to see is removal of taxes on redundancy payment. It's really unwise for us to have workers paying taxes, both income and indirect taxation, during their working life, and then they lost their job, and having lost their job, the little compensation they get for losing their job, they have to turn over again and pay tax, Morrison stated. I think it is a form of double taxation, and I am strongly calling for the authorities to have a look at that, he continued, adding, I'm calling upon the Parliament to have a look at this. I'm calling upon the opposition to move to this action in the House and to have the tax on redundancy payments removed. PNP has no moral authority to demand integrity from government, says Hill. Government Senator Aubrey Hill did not hold back last Friday as he accused the opposition of hypocrisy in calling for integrity from their government counterparts where they have mirrored scandals during their time of power over a 23-year period. He also tried the opposition for its poor choice in recently selecting a twice-convicted felon as a candidate for the next parliamentary election. Armed with a laundry list of transgressions allegedly committed by members of the People's National Party, Senator Hill used a segment of his State of the Nation representation in the upper house to hold up a proverbial minor to the opposition to demonstrate that it doesn't have the morality to demand integrity from the government. I have sat often in this chamber and listened to members from across the aisles make repeated calls for us on this side to practice an outstanding high level of perceived integrity. Those calls are repeated and often are out of context with the subject on the other paper that is being discussed in the chamber. I hear the same noises from other places and from various PNP platforms with more mentions of required perceived integrity. Many of these boisterous calls are often accompanied by the stringent demand for some of us to step aside until their various and unsubstantiated allegations are investigated. What temerity they possess. This constant call and sometimes the drum roll from the Jamaica Labour Party to practice perceived integrity, and even to some of us to step aside, forced me to go back and look at the record of the PNP, he noted. Hill said during the PNP extensive time in power, the party created a long and colorful record, filled with scandals, very questionable integrity, lack of accountability of perpetrators of much more than allegations, and certainly no stepping aside of those who were believed to be or may be clearly culpable. He argued that he was highlighting the various scandals simply to remind those who indulge in rampant and shameful hypocrisy, which are the facts about themselves that are forgetting, or to try to cover up. In any event, we know the invariable, the unfairly, many would say, we of the JLP are held to a higher standard. Among the misdeeds he pointed is to the Montego Bay Street People scandal in 1999, in which a group of over 30 homeless Jamaicans were arbitrarily detained, tied with ropes and forcibly taken in a government truck from Samshop Square to a deserted area 37 kilometers away near a toxic mud lake in St. Elizabeth. City officials were implicated, but no one was ever found to be criminally liable. The government accepted responsibility and compensated the survivor with a monthly stipend of $20,000. He also highlighted the Trafigura scandal in 2006, which revealed that the PNP had received more than €460,000, 37 million from Dutch oil company, and that the then government did business with. It is alleged that the money was used to help finance the PNP annual conference that year. Trafigura Brewer said the money was part of the commercial agreement, while the PNP maintained that it was a donation to the party. All of these PNP scandals are terrible, but this Trafigura scandal is particularly heinous and offensively smelly because what they try to do is to ensure that Jamaican people wouldn't hear in an open court what the PNP was trying to do to get the money and hide it, he stated. Turning to the mid-90s, collapse of the financial sector that led to the formation of the Financial Sector Adjustment Company, FISCA, to restore stability. Hill said this event was terrible because many people died. Critics say that instead of bringing stability, FISCA's efforts led to large measure of a fire scale to overseas investors, and many well-off Jamaicans were wiped out, losing their businesses and in some cases their homes, which have been mortgaged as risk-taking entrepreneurs push to stay afloat. FISCA sold $23 million worth of non-performing loans to US-based Bear Bank, which subsequently sought the debt of the Jamaica Redevelopment Foundation. This represented more than 24,000 loans, with the government collecting between 15 and 50% of the net proceeds recovered. Hill expressed dismay that with these and other scandals, the opposition has the gall to speak to the government about transparency, integrity, and corruption. He also questioned the integrity of the opposition in selecting Isaac Buchanan, a twice-convicted felon, as a Member of Parliament candidate. I was passing a television set on the date of the presented conference of the PNP, and I looked at the platform. I looked till I was tired. I couldn't find one drop of integrity, not a drop of integrity, upon that platform, Hill stated. He said what he saw on the platform was a convicted criminal who later on has been put forward to be a Member of Parliament. It's not convicted for shoplifting or traffic offense. It's convicted for getting involved, processing and doing criminal stuff with Schedule 1 drugs, Hill quipped. I mean, you stand out there and you tell us every week about integrity and transparency and how we should do this and who must step aside, and you don't call your leader aside, Marky British or Marky G, whichever one you want to call him, and say, look, you can't put convicted criminals in the country and another country to put up an MP to make laws. All Jamaicans must see this is unacceptable, he added. Remember to subscribe, like, share, and click the notification bell for daily updates.